welcome to Petrol Media. I'm your host, Terrence Anderson, and today I wanted to do a quick comparison between my two machines that I use the most, the 1000 and the One Plus. And there were some interesting things that I noticed that I am trying to iron out some of the leveling because I want to make sure I'm doing this comparison in a decent manner that makes sense. It also kind of showcases why I still like the 1000, even though I have the One Plus. And I think when I flip it over and you see the coloring, you'll be like, yeah, he likes the 1000. Yeah. So anyway, um, the reason why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it is because I want you to be able to hear it and do a direct comparison at the same time. So in your left ear, you're going to hear the 1000, and in your right ear, you're going to hear the One Plus. I decided to pan it completely separate. That way you don't have it playing one way and then you flip to the other one and you're hearing two stereo images and you're like, oh, this sounds louder, this sounds less. That's going to throw you off. I think the better way to do this is for you to hear them individually and then hear them at the same time. And then that way you can have an idea of what you're listening to. And then you can make your own assumptions on which one sounds better. The original track was created on the 1000 and transferred to the One Plus via the MPC 2.15 software on the desktop. I've been able to open the 1000 sessions directly on 3.4.3. I don't know if it's a 3.0 situation where they're just conflicting, but I know if I take it through 2.15 on the desktop, it works fine. So I'm trying this out just to see what it sounds like, see if it's something I'm considering in the long run. Regardless of whether I decide to use the 1000 or not use the 1000, I am definitely going to keep the 1000 because I love my 1000, especially after how I modded it. The 1000 is a fun unit for me to play with, especially since it's battery powered. So anyway, let's get into comparison. Let's spin you guys around. So what we have here is my One Plus with this retro skin that I put on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the skin because I wanted to try it out just to see. But the problem I have with the skin is the red comes through and through here, through here, through here. And I haven't found a way to make it work. Also, it kind of doesn't fully line up. This was a pain to put on. I actually had to ask my wife to do it because I just got so frustrated doing it that I asked her to do it. And her immediate response was, I don't know why you're covering up the red. The red looks great. There's no reason to cover up the red. So we will see how long this stays on here. Over here, we have my MPC 1000 with the battery mod and custom colors and everything. I've set up all of the pads exactly the same. For the most part, I've gotten the levels as close as possible. So we have this set up for the comparison. So like I said, on the right-hand side, you're going to hear, even though they're opposite, I just plugged them in the wrong way. Actually, so that we don't mess each other up, let's fix that. Okay, so now we have it set up correctly. You have the One Plus on the left. You have the 1000 on the right. And we're going to go to track mutes. So just so you hear the track, I'm going to play a bit of it on the left, and then I'm going to play a bit of it on the right, and then I'm going to play them together, and then I'll go through the sequences, and you can tell me what you guys think. So it's already slightly an unfair battle because the 1000 only has 32 voices that it's allowed to play at any given time. And because of some things I did with some snare rolls and whatever, some things drop out. However, the data is there. So when I actually transferred it to the MPC 2.15 software, it played all of the information. That's why you don't hear any dropouts here in the One Plus, because the data is there. The MIDI's there, the files are there, and it knows what to do with it because of what I played here. And I showcased that before because the 5000 has 64 voices. This only has 32 voices. And this session was a little bit of work for the way I wanted the drums to roll for for the turnaround, but it's fine. It worked out fine because I knew the data was there. Because it was a behavior I remember from dealing with the 2000, where the 2000 only has 32 voices as well. And I didn't stress it too much because I knew what I was playing. And I knew when I stemmed it out in the 2000 Excel one track at a time, I would get all the data anyway. So I just kind of ignored it. I just kept it moving. But other than that, percussively, you see some interesting things happen, and you'll hear it when I play it. I'm going to run the sessions, and I'm going to play the different parts and bring them in at the same time so you can hear it. And like I said, you tell me what you think. In your left ear, you should wear some headphones for this. The left ear is the One Plus. The right ear is the 1000. You tell me which one you think sounds better. All right, here we go. So that's the two machines. You can tell me if your left ear loved it, or your right ear loved it, or you didn't notice a difference. I would love to hear your opinions of that situation. So you can see from the comparison, there really is a little difference. So I'm curious to know what you guys think you heard that sounds different between the two. What I found interesting was that the there's definitely a bias towards more bass on the 1000. The drums and the bass, the 808 that I played on the 1000 sounds heavier, and the same 808 on the One Plus sounds cleaner. Now, I don't know if that's because of the converters coming out of the back of the One Plus versus the 1000. It could be that. Remember, I'm only using one channel, a left on both of them, going left right. So you're hearing the exact same signal path, the same left channel from each session from two different machines going into the SSL 12. Now, I will note this. Earlier today, I used my SSL 12 connected directly to the One Plus. And I did that because as I was working on the mix, I was getting a little frustrated with the way the mix was sounding. And I started to get it to sound more the way I wanted it to sound. I was actually like, oh, I'm really starting to like this. But it was a little bit of work. And I wanted to try some things because I was just like, you know what? I know the One Plus has class compliant audio interfaces that it works with. So I said, let me give this a try. And when I plugged in the SSL 12 and told it to use it, and I started playing the audio through it, it sounds so much better out of the SSL 12. But that's subjective. I don't know if it sounds better because I'm used to the SSL 12 or if it sounds better because the SSL 12 may have more headroom to play the audio, maybe better converters to handle the audio versus whatever's in the One Plus. So having a conversation with one of the guys who's on the beta team for Akai, he pointed out to me that the difference that you find with the machines when it comes to converters is that the X, specifically the X comes with higher end converters for in and out. So, and I'm not going to say the model and the brand because I'm not disclosing that, but suffice to say, it definitely comes with better converters. The One Plus and the One, I'm not sure if they have the same converters, but that might be something that people are hearing as the difference when it comes to the two machines. And that's kind of something that can be interesting. I think, if I'm correct, Bolo did a video on that, but I don't remember. I have to go through his videos again. But I do like the One Plus by itself with its output. What I find interesting is when I plugged it into the SSL-12 and played the audio through the SSL-12, the One Plus sounds dirty compared to the SSL-12. And it's a funny experience because the 1000 sounds dirtier than the One Plus, and the One Plus sounds dirtier than the SSL-12. Don't chase this rabbit. That's the best thing I can tell you, because once you start doing that, you're going to get frustrated. Um, all I really found that I had to do for the most part with the One Plus was just turn my samples down, turn the audio down slightly, and then all of a sudden there's less distortion and then it sounds better. None of that digital distortion. In the 1000, I don't have to do that. Just crank that bad boy. It just is what it is. And the SSL-12 is its own animal, and it's not a part of this conversation, so we're not going to bring that into it too deep. So you tell me what you think. Which of these two sounds better to you? I personally think I will still use the 1000 because it's fun. It's a fun machine. It's very simple, and I can really just knock out a track with it really fast and have fun with it. I am learning the One Plus, and I'm starting to like the One Plus a lot. And the experience with the One Plus has been very interesting. So who knows? I'm not going to tell you which one I think is better, but you tell me which one you think is better. Anyway, catch you next time. Thank you for hanging out with me for a bit. Like, share, and subscribe. See you later.